I'm sitting in the back of a police car right now, wrapped in a thermal blanket, watching them bring my son out of my house in handcuffs. It's December 26th, 3 in the morning, and the red and blue lights are painting my perfectly decorated Christmas wreaths in colors that feel obscene. My neighbors in Greenwich, Connecticut are standing on their pristine lawns in their robes, phones out, recording everything. The same neighbors who smiled at our family photos every year. The same neighbors who envied my picture-perfect life. But before I tell you how we got here, before I explain why my own son is being read his Miranda rights on my driveway, I need you to do something for me. Leave a comment below telling me where you're watching this from, because what I'm about to tell you could happen anywhere, to anyone. And I need to know this message is reaching people who might be in danger right now, people who might be missing the same signs I almost missed. My name is Eleanor Ashford. I'm 62 years old, though people usually guess I'm in my early 50s. I've taken care of myself, yoga 3 times a week, organic everything, that expensive moisturizer from Switzerland. I live in Greenwich because my late husband, Richard, built a technology consulting firm from nothing. And when he died 7 years ago, he left me more comfortable than I'd ever imagined. A 6-bedroom colonial house on 3 acres, investment portfolios, rental properties in Manhattan, and enough in liquid assets that I never had to worry about money again. I had one son, Christopher. 40 years old, handsome in that effortless way that reminded me so much of Richard. He'd always been my whole world, even more so after his father died. Maybe especially after his father died. 4 years ago, Christopher married Vanessa. I remember feeling uneasy at the wedding, though I couldn't place why. She was beautiful, certainly, tall, blonde, with a smile that looked practiced in mirrors. She worked in pharmaceutical sales, or so she said. She came from money too, supposedly. Old Charleston family, she claimed, though I noticed her parents didn't attend the wedding. Estranged, Christopher explained with a sad shake of his head. She had a difficult childhood. I wanted to be the mother-in-law who welcomed her with open arms. I really did. I bought them a house as a wedding gift, nothing as grand as mine, but a lovely 4-bedroom in Stamford, fully paid. I set up trust funds for future grandchildren. I invited Vanessa to my charity galas, introduced her to my friends, tried to include her in everything. But Vanessa had a way of making you feel small without saying anything directly offensive. Little comments. "Oh, Eleanor, are you wearing that to the fundraiser? How brave." Or, "I'm sure your generation didn't know any better about skincare." Always delivered with a smile, always in front of others, always designed to make me question whether I'd heard correctly. Christopher never noticed, or he pretended not to. The first real sign came 18 months ago. I was having lunch with my financial advisor, Martin Chen, at a restaurant in Stamford when he casually mentioned that Christopher had called him. "Asking about your estate planning," Martin said, spearing a piece of salmon. "Wanted to know about the structure of your trusts, your liquid assets, whether you'd updated your will recently." Something cold settled in my stomach. I haven't asked Christopher to inquire about any of that. Martin's chopsticks paused mid-air. "He said you'd been forgetting things, that you'd asked him to help manage your affairs because you were concerned about early-onset dementia." I set down my water glass very carefully. "Martin, I've forgotten nothing. My memory is perfect. I just completed the New York Times crossword this morning in under 20 minutes. His face changed. "Eleanor, he was very convincing. He had details about your medical history, said you'd been repeating yourself, getting confused about appointments. I've done none of those things." My voice came out sharper than intended. "What information did you give him?" "Nothing specific. I told him I'd need written authorization from you, which he said he'd arrange." Martin leaned forward, his expression troubled. "Eleanor, if someone is trying to gain access to your financial information by claiming you're incompetent..." "Don't say anything to Christopher about this conversation," I interrupted. "Please, Martin, not yet." He nodded slowly. "I won't. But Eleanor, be careful. I've seen this before. Family members who start inquiring about estates and competency, it doesn't usually end well. I went home that day and did something I'd never done before. I searched Christopher and Vanessa's names online, not just casual Facebook stalking, deep research, court records, property records, business filings. What I found made my hands shake. Vanessa had been married twice before Christopher. Both marriages had ended within 3 years. One ex-husband had filed a restraining order that was later dropped. The other had declared bankruptcy shortly after their divorce. Her parents weren't estranged. They'd cut her off financially after she'd forged her father's signature on a loan application. There was more. A business she'd started and bankrupted. A lawsuit from a former employer about missing inventory. A pattern of financial chaos that she'd apparently cleaned up and hidden before meeting my son. I hired a private investigator the next day. His name was Robert Torres, former NYPD detective, now running a small firm in White Plains. I felt ridiculous sitting in his utilitarian office, like I was in a bad television movie. But Robert didn't make me feel foolish. "Ma'am, you'd be surprised how often I get calls like this," he said, clicking his pen. Family members noticing strange behavior, money going missing, elderly parents suddenly forgetting things they've never forgotten before. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it usually is. It took Robert 3 weeks to compile his report. When he called me to his office to review the findings, I almost didn't go. Part of me wanted to remain ignorant, to keep pretending I had the family I thought I had. But I went. "Mrs. Ashford, your daughter-in-law has been researching your financial situation extensively," Robert said, sliding documents across his desk. "She's accessed public records about your property holdings, searched for your investment portfolios, and according to my source at the insurance company, she called twice asking about your life insurance policies." "How is that possible? Those are private." "She claimed to be your assistant, helping you organize your estate documents. The junior employee she spoke with didn't verify properly before confirming you have a $2 million policy." He paused. "Mrs. Ashford, there's more. Your son has been meeting regularly with an estate lawyer in Manhattan. Not your family lawyer, a different one. One who specializes in competency hearings and contested estates." The room tilted slightly. Competency hearings. When family members want to prove someone is mentally unfit to manage their own affairs, to get power of attorney, access to accounts, control over assets. Robert's expression was grim. And I found something else. Vanessa has been in contact with a doctor who specializes in geriatric psychiatry. She's been asking about the process for getting someone diagnosed with dementia, what symptoms would need to be documented. I couldn't speak. My own son, my Christopher, who I'd raised, who I'd sacrificed everything for after Richard died. "What should I do?" I finally managed. "Document everything. Record conversations if Connecticut law allows it, which it does, as long as one party consents, and you'd be that party. Get your own lawyer immediately. Update your will to make it ironclad. And Mrs. Ashford?" He leaned forward. "Be very, very careful. If they're planning what I think they're planning, you could be in real danger." I left his office in a fog, but I did exactly what he said. I contacted my own estate attorney, Patricia Brennan, a fierce woman in her 70s who'd been practicing law for 40 years. She reviewed my will, my trusts, my power of attorney documents. "Eleanor, these are airtight," she said, tapping her pen on the stack of papers. "But if Christopher is meeting with a competency attorney, he's looking for a way around them. He could try to have you declared mentally incompetent, get himself appointed as your guardian, and then he'd control everything. Can he do that? Not easily. He'd need medical evidence, witnesses, a court proceeding. But I've seen families manufacture evidence, testimony from people claiming you're confused, forgetful. A diagnosis from a doctor who's willing to be flexible with their assessment." She looked at me seriously. "You need to be proactive. Get a full cognitive evaluation from a reputable neurologist. Document your mental acuity. And Eleanor, consider what you're going to do if your suspicions are confirmed. because you're going to have to make some very difficult choices. I scheduled the cognitive evaluation for the following week. Dr. Sarah Kim, one of the top neurologists in Connecticut, put me through 6 hours of testing. Memory, reasoning, problem solving, spatial awareness. When she reviewed the results, she actually laughed. "Mrs. Ashford, your cognitive function is in the 99th percentile for your age group. You're sharper than most 40-year-olds I test. There's absolutely no indication of any cognitive decline whatsoever." I had her put it in writing, sign it, notarize it. I made 6 copies and stored them in different locations. Then I waited. Christopher and Vanessa started visiting more frequently. Every Sunday, they'd come for dinner. Vanessa would make little comments. "Eleanor, you told us that story last week, remember?" When I hadn't. Or, "Mom, you left the stove on again," when I absolutely hadn't. Christopher would look at me with exaggerated concern, asking if I was feeling all right, if I was taking my vitamins. I played along. I even started pretending to forget small things, where I'd put my keys, what day it was. I wanted to see how far they'd go. The answer was, very far. In October, I found a pill bottle in my bathroom that wasn't mine. Zolpidem, a sleeping medication. High dose. I'd never been prescribed sleeping pills in my life. When I asked Christopher about it at dinner that Sunday, he exchanged a glance with Vanessa. "Mom, we got those for you last month. You said you were having trouble sleeping, don't you remember?" His voice was patient, kind, the voice you'd use with a confused child. I said no such thing. Vanessa touched Christopher's arm gently. "Honey, this is exactly what Dr. Morrison warned us about. The memory gaps are getting worse." "Who is Dr. Morrison?" "I've never seen any Dr. Morrison." "Mom, you've been seeing him for 3 months. Christopher pulled out his phone, showed me a calendar. There were appointments listed under my name at a geriatric psychiatry practice. Every other Tuesday. Vanessa drives you because you kept forgetting where the office was. I stared at the fake appointments, the fabricated evidence of my supposed decline, and I felt something inside me turn to ice. "Of course," I said softly. "I'm sorry. I must have forgotten." The look of satisfaction on Vanessa's face lasted only a second, but I saw it. That night, I installed hidden cameras throughout my house. Tiny devices that Robert Torres helped me select and position. Living room, kitchen, hallway, my bedroom, my office, all recording to a secure cloud service that only I could access. I started catching everything. Vanessa pocketing jewelry when she thought I wasn't looking. Christopher going through my mail, my files. Them sitting in my kitchen after they thought I'd gone to bed discussing their plans. "She's worth at least 12 million, probably more," I heard Vanessa say on the recording from November 3rd. "The house alone is worth 3 million, plus the rental properties, the investment accounts, the life insurance." "We need her declared incompetent before she changes her will," Christopher said. "Dr. Morrison said he can provide the diagnosis, but we need more witnesses, more evidence." "The pill thing is working. If we can get her to actually take them, show up somewhere confused and disoriented, that would be perfect. We could take her to the hospital, get it documented." "What if she won't take them?" There was a pause. Then Vanessa's voice, colder than I'd ever heard it. "We could put them in her food, just enough to make her seem confused. She'd never know." My son said nothing. He didn't object. He didn't defend me. He just asked, "How much do we need to give her?" I sat in my office, watching that recording over and over, and I cried for the first time since Richard died. Not just for myself, but for the son I thought I knew. The little boy who'd brought me dandelions from the yard, who'd hugged me and told me I was the best mom in the world. That little boy was gone. Or maybe he'd never existed. Patricia Brennan reviewed the recordings. "This is attempted fraud, conspiracy, possibly attempted poisoning depending on how we pursue it. Eleanor, you need to go to the police." "Not yet," I said. "I want everything documented. I want it to be absolutely airtight." "Why wait?" "Because I needed to understand. I needed to know if there was any part of my son worth saving, Any moment where he'd wake up and realize what he was doing. And because, God help me, I wanted them to suffer the way they'd made me suffer. So I kept playing the confused, declining mother. I let them think their plan was working. And I planned Christmas. I invited them to spend Christmas at my house. A big family celebration, I said. Just the three of us, intimate and special. Vanessa was delighted. Christopher seemed nervous, but he agreed. I spent 2 weeks preparing. Not just the meal, but everything else. I made copies of all the recordings, all the evidence. I gave sets to Patricia, to Robert, to Martin Chen, to my sister in California. I wrote everything down, every suspicious conversation, every forged appointment, every manipulation. And I invited some additional guests that Christopher and Vanessa didn't know about. Christmas Day started beautifully. I decorated the house like I used to when Christopher was young. The tree was massive, covered in lights and ornaments. The dining room table was set for 3 with my finest china and crystal. I'd cooked all day, prime rib, roasted vegetables, homemade rolls, 3 different desserts. Christopher and Vanessa arrived at 4. Vanessa was wearing a new diamond bracelet I hadn't seen before, probably bought with money she'd somehow siphoned from somewhere. They both hugged me, wished me Merry Christmas with smiles that didn't reach their eyes. We exchanged gifts. I gave them generous checks, played the loving mother. They gave me a scarf and a book about memory exercises. We thought this might help, Vanessa said sweetly. Then I went to the kitchen to finish the meal preparations. That's when Vanessa's voice rang out, sharp and cruel. Where did you go, useless old woman? My family has been here hungry for an hour, and you can't even set the table. I stood in the kitchen doorway, perfectly still. They were both in the dining room. Christopher was laughing, actually laughing, at his wife's words. Vanessa, come on, he said, but he was still grinning. Give her a break, she's doing her best. Her best? Christopher, look at this house. Look at all this money sitting here while we're struggling to make ends meet. She's useless. She can't even remember what day it is most of the time. Why are we pretending she's capable of living alone? I walked into the dining room. The table is set. Dinner is ready. Please sit. Vanessa looked at me with something close to contempt. Oh, now you show up. We've been waiting. You've been here for 20 minutes. An hour, she corrected, her voice dripping with false patience. See, Christopher? She has no concept of time anymore. I served the meal. I sat down. I watched them eat my food, drink my wine, sit in my house, and mock me, and I smiled. This is delicious, Mom, Christopher said, and for a second, I saw a flash of the boy I'd loved. Then it was gone. Listen, Vanessa and I wanted to talk to you about something. Oh? Vanessa set down her fork. We think it's time you considered moving somewhere with more support. An assisted living facility, maybe. Somewhere with people who can help you with daily tasks. I don't need help with daily tasks. Mom, you do, Christopher said gently. You forget things. You get confused. We're worried about you living here alone. What if you fell? What if you left the stove on? I've never left the stove on. You did last week, Vanessa lied smoothly. Don't you remember? We had to come over and turn it off. I took a sip of wine. What would happen to this house if I moved into assisted living? They exchanged a glance. We'd sell it probably, Christopher said. Use the money for your care. And if there was money left over? It would go to your estate. To me, eventually. He reached across the table, took my hand. His palm was sweaty. Mom, this isn't about money. This is about keeping you safe. The doorbell rang. Christopher frowned. Are you expecting someone? Yes, I said, standing up. I invited a few more people to join us. I opened the door. Detective Maria Santos from the Greenwich Police Department stood there with 2 uniformed officers. Behind them were Patricia Brennan, Robert Torres, and Dr. Sarah Kim. Christopher's face went white. Vanessa stood up so fast her chair fell backward. What's going on? Christopher demanded. Christopher Ashford, Vanessa Ashford, Detective Santos said, stepping into the house. I have a warrant for your arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted poisoning, and elder abuse. This is insane, Vanessa shrieked. She's delusional. She's senile. She doesn't know what she's saying. Dr. Kim stepped forward. I evaluated Mrs. Ashford 3 weeks ago. Her cognitive function is perfect. She's completely mentally competent. Robert Torres pulled out a tablet, started playing the recordings. Vanessa's voice filled my dining room. We could put them in her food. Christopher's face crumbled. Mom, I can explain. No, I said quietly. You really can't. Patricia handed documents to Detective Santos. This is everything. Recordings of them discussing the fraud, evidence of forged medical appointments, documentation of the sleeping pills planted in Mrs. Ashford's home, financial records showing attempts to access her accounts. It's all here. The officers moved forward with handcuffs. Mom, please, Christopher begged, tears streaming down his face. I'm your son. I'm sorry. We didn't mean... You were going to drug me, I said, my voice breaking. You were going to make me seem crazy. Take everything I have and put me in a facility where I'd be trapped. You laughed when your wife called me useless. You sat in my kitchen and planned how to destroy me. We needed the money, Vanessa spat, dropping the pretense entirely. You're sitting on millions while we have nothing. You have a house I bought you. You have cars, clothes, everything you could want. What you don't have is my money. And you never will. They were handcuffed, read their rights. Vanessa was screaming about lawyers, about lawsuits, about how I was crazy and vindictive. Christopher just cried. As they were led out to the police cars, Christopher looked back at me one last time. I love you, Mom. No, I said, you don't. Because if you loved me, you never could have done this. That was 3 hours ago. The trial took 8 months. Christopher and Vanessa were charged with conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted elder abuse, and attempted poisoning. The evidence was overwhelming. The recordings, the forged medical appointments, the sleeping pills, the fake diagnosis Dr. Morrison had been prepared to provide in exchange for payment. Dr. Morrison lost his medical license. Christopher and Vanessa both took plea deals to avoid longer sentences. Christopher got 3 years in minimum security and 5 years probation. Vanessa got 5 years because of her prior history of fraud. The house they were living in, the one I'd bought them, I sold it and donated the proceeds to an organization that protects elderly people from financial abuse. I changed my will. Everything goes to charity now. Scholarships for underprivileged kids, research for Alzheimer's, the disease they pretended I had, support for victims of elder abuse. Christopher writes me letters from prison. I don't read them. Patricia reviews them to make sure there's nothing threatening, then files them away. Maybe someday I'll be ready, but not now. People ask me if I regret turning in my own son. The answer is complicated. I regret that I raised someone capable of what he did. I regret that I didn't see the warning signs earlier, that I trusted too easily, that I wanted so badly to believe I had the family I thought I deserved. But I don't regret protecting myself. I don't regret refusing to be a victim. Here's what I've learned, and I need you to hear this. If someone in your family starts talking about your memory, your competency, your ability to live independently, pay attention. If they're suddenly interested in your finances, your estate plan, your medical care, document everything. Get cognitive testing from a real doctor. Update your legal documents with an attorney you trust. Install cameras if you need to. Hire a private investigator if something feels wrong. Because the people who hurt us most are often the people we love most. The people we'd never suspect. The people who know exactly how to exploit our trust. I'm 62 years old. I have, God willing, decades of life ahead of me. I'm not going to spend them being anyone's victim, not even my own son's. I spend my time now working with elder abuse organizations. I speak at workshops. I help other people recognize the signs I almost missed. I've become friends with some of the people I've helped. Beautiful souls who thought they were alone, who thought no one would believe them. My house is quieter now. No more family dinners, no more pretending. But it's honest, and there's a freedom in that honesty that I never had before. Sometimes, late at night, I walk through these rooms and remember Christopher as a child. The good memories are still there. Teaching him to ride a bike, reading him bedtime stories, his graduation from college. I don't know how to reconcile those memories with what he became. Maybe I never will. But I survived. I'm here. I'm strong. I'm free. And to everyone watching this, especially those of you who are older, who might be feeling pressured by family, who might be questioning your own judgment, trust yourself. You're not crazy. You're not paranoid. If something feels wrong, investigate. Protect yourself. Because no amount of money is worth your dignity, your safety, your life. That Christmas, when Vanessa called me useless, when they laughed at me in my own home, they thought they'd won. They thought I was weak, confused, easy to manipulate. They had no idea what awaited them. They had no idea I was recording every word. They had no idea I was 10 steps ahead. And they learned, too late, that underestimating someone is the fastest way to lose everything. I'm Eleanor Ashford. I'm 62 years old. I'm sharper than ever, and I'm not going anywhere. Merry Christmas.